Okay. We back to a Black Men Sketch, episode 8. This is the host, Mayo Garner, and my co-hosts,
Brian.
I'm Royce, and now I'm introducing our very special guest, Ms. Doris Crenshaw, the founder and CEO of the Southern Youth Leadership Development Institute. Ms. Doris has dedicated over 60 years of her life in community activism. Please welcome Ms. Doris Crenshaw.
Hey. Welcome.
Yeah.
Crenshaw, how's it going, Ms. Doris?
Yeah. How you doing, Ms.
It's
Doris?
a good day. It's doing good.
Good
It's
evening.
doing good. Thank you.
So what's the weather
Hope
like
all is
down
going
there?
with you. Cold.
Oh,
It's not Minnesota cold, but it's cold for Alabama.
What's cold to you?
Alabama weather was perfect. down there.
57.
Oh, that's good weather.
That's good weather.
That's a heat wave. That's a heat wave in
good.
Minnesota.
I'm gonna need you. You can't complain about that one. I went to Alabama, and I seen Rosa Parks, and I know you know that sister very well. You know, I wish I had a chance to meet her, so I just want to see. Can you tell us how was she in person?
Well, Mrs. Parks was an unassuming woman. She was quiet with her tone, but forceful with her words and commitment. In fact, she was a woman of very few words, but the words that she shared were very meaningful. She often talked about the love for our people, and she wanted to make sure that we got all our people that we could to get to be registered to vote. She emphasized voter registration and education, and she thought it was very important that we stayed in school and that we got registered to vote.
That's beautiful. So how long was you working with her?
I started with her in the spring of 1954, summer 1954. She was arrested in 1955, and they banned the NAACP in 1956. Having said that, we still did things together, but not under the banner of the NAACP. But there's always a lot of activity, especially around mobilizing people to come to the mass meetings and also to the voter registration project.
And that's a wonderful topic that you just touched on with the importance of people getting up and getting out to vote. Ms. Crenshaw, what would be something that you personally would have to say? You know, there's a lot of conspiracy theorists out here. You know, young men and women of color who have no desire to vote. They think that it changes nothing, that their voice means nothing, that it's all rigged. And, you know, there's 1,000 reasons why not to vote. Just giving you the floor real quick, is there a message that you may have for those people who have been discouraged as far as the importance of getting out, having their voices heard?
I think you need to share with them that everything that happens with us in our lives is affected by our vote. The air we breathe, whether it's clean air or not, the water we drink, whether that's healthy water or not, the quality of your schools, the way you're treated up and down. I think you have a very, 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 very important example in your city and state with the Attorney General. This black man that I had the opportunity to meet, I'm so proud of that. But because of his actions, the policemen were punished for their deeds.
Correct.
And so now, let's go with everything that you do, okay? Let's talk about the food you eat.
Right.
Okay.
The food you eat is determined most of the time by the neighborhood you live in, or you have to drive distances to acquire food, and most especially healthy food. And in our neighborhoods, it's food deserts. Now, when you vote, you can affect that by turning out in numbers. And most especially, I would say one of the most important people in our society that needs to exercise their right to vote is black men.
Absolutely.
They're most often targeted. They're most likely not to have a job. So that let's say, for example, that the job that you want is a state job.
Okay.
Now, if you have a influence with your vote, then you can call in the state representatives and have them to lean on whoever, the corporate world or the elected officials, to try to ensure that there are more jobs for our people, and especially our black men.
Right. That's definitely what we need.
So how do we inspire those black men to vote?
So I think you have to talk to them. See, when I say nothing changes, things do change. But certainly nothing will change if you don't exercise your right to vote. And let me tell you this. People in positions look at the number of people that voted in X precinct, Y precinct, and that. So if you turn your numbers up, people know that they need your vote. But because you lackadaisical or don't care, then they don't need to care about you.
Correct.
But if you understand, see, self-interest, I was taught, is the prevailing force. So you got to say, what's in your self-interest? Let them understand why it's important to them and their daily life.
So how, is that difficult to do? Because a lot of these black kids are from broken homes. So, like, trying to...
That's all the more reason.
Yes.
That's all the more reason.
So
see, if you're from a broken home, a lot of times the male is absent, right?
Yep.
So the female has to petition the government for child support, right? So if the social workers and this are going to treat you right, that still goes back to how you vote and how much you vote. So, and everybody in all situations, even the resources that go to your school, you understand?
Yes, we do.
People say we're not going to do anything with Carver School. Those people don't come to meetings and they don't vote.
Right.
And
so I'm not going to waste my time. The people that make changes in this world are primarily young people and women. Young men, but it's up to you to convince more of your young people, and even if you have children, and if you have children on the call?
Yes, absolutely. Yep.
Okay. So it's important that you engage your children and they influence their friends. And we used to have like coffees at houses and just talk to people, have a little Kool-Aid or Coca-Cola, cookies or something, and talk about what's going on and how you can affect what's going on. And you have to make it so that it's very plain to them how they affected. If they say nothing's going to change, then you might have to get into the conversation of what do you want change.
And it's like I try to stress that to some people when I talk to them. It's like some people are afraid to fail. I mean, if you vote and you don't win, that doesn't mean you shouldn't have voted. And
right.
I try to get through to people that there is a reason that when you're arrested and convicted, they take your right to vote away. So it has to have some type of value if the law and the government, that's the first thing they want. They don't want your bank account. They don't want your house. They don't want your car. They don't want anything you own, but they want your right to vote. And they make you go through heck and high water to get it back.
And piggybacking off of that, back in the day when we just visited the civil rights tour in Alabama, we seen how hard it was to be able to vote. They put a jar of jelly beans in front of you and say, how much is it? That kind of shows you
how many bubbles in the jar.
In a bar of soap.
Ridiculous.
Oh my gosh.
Impossible answers, So that was to hinder us from voting, which shows us the importance to vote. If they want us so badly not to vote, there's a real importance and strength behind voting. You know what I mean?
And
that's true today, isn't it? Isn't it true today?
Yeah, they're hindering us in different.
This election, they're trying not to have voting precincts. Make it easy for the people that live in those precincts to vote. When it's easier in the majority white districts to vote, all day long. Okay? So if it was not important, then why go to such extremes to keep you from voting?
Right.
And then I've heard before that people that if you work on a job and you work around the Europeans, sometimes they discourage you. Oh man, it ain't worth that. Whatever they tell you is not worth it, and you shouldn't do it. You should be about the business of doing that.
And that's correct.
Right before my generation, and today, they discourage you from being able to read.
Yeah. I think just the youth is too busy in survival mode. So we have to find a way to break that mentality before we can, inspire the youth to vote. You know what I'm saying? Because we have to show the youth that voting helps us get out of poverty, helps us get out them bad environments, helps us, to get
So
quality.
Our topic today is about the importance of voting.
Yeah.
Correct, Ms. Crenshaw.
Right.
We have to figure out a way to lift the blindfold from a lot of these young people, because there's things that we do each and every day. So if somebody's excuse is voting is a waste of time, I mean, people go out and buy lottery tickets, scratch them every day, and they don't win. They wait in line.
That's right.
And so
That's right.
it's almost like that. So just because you didn't win today, does that mean you're not going to buy a lottery ticket tomorrow? And so just because you vote one time and the person you voted for doesn't win, that doesn't mean that you should not exercise your right as a member of the United States to have your voice lifted and heard,
Don't be discouraged, okay? We started in cities where there was one or two people that agreed with us. And you kept working with those one or two people, and eventually it would get to be 4 and 5 people. So that if you start to convince one, and it's not instant pudding. You're not going to do it all this election cycle. You might not be able to do much the next one, but you have to keep on working on it and keep on building.
Keep moving
and
forward.
then you lead by example.
Right.
So sometimes you never know who's watching you and who's inspired by you. So you have to keep a very positive attitude. You have to know and whatever you do. I'm going to say this is kind of off the subject, but it's kind of in the subject. In Montgomery, Alabama, 70% of the boys can't read. Now, why do you think that is?
It's designed that way.
You see, it goes back. That's right. It goes back to what?
Slavery.
The voting, because that's what they do in the school. These kids in this school don't have books. Can you imagine a school where they don't have books? They talk about the computer or something. And then you get tutors from the tutors say, well, where are your books? We don't have books. Well, how are you going to tutor if you don't have books? Right. So I'm saying it's a snowball. You know what I'm saying? So we have to pay strict attention, and we need to articulate to our people, start with your own family.
Right.
You see, that's what we did. We started with our family, and you convinced them. And so for the guys who in your group, just stay encouraged. And you might not have victories today or tomorrow, but keep on keeping on. Keep on believing. And most of all, believe in yourself.
Will do.
And if you believe in yourself, then you can convince other people to believe in what you're saying.
And also, I do want to inform people that it is motivational, and it does encourage whoever you're running for. Say if you run for somebody, you don't win that run, but they see the votes and they just won by a little bit, them acknowledging they have that support is going to help them keep going on. So it's also motivational to vote. Even if a guy loses by a couple votes, he still sees the hundreds and thousands that was behind him, so he can keep going.
Right, and try it again. Try it again.
Definitely.
Yes, and
I would definitely love you to come to Ujama, speak to our youth, in person. I appreciate they could give you.
Okay. Yeah, in the summertime.
I don't blame you.
When fish are jumping in the Mississippi River in the summertime, okay?
Ms. Crenshaw, before it slips my mind, can you reach on the topic of the importance on voting more than just the presidential election? Because some people get out and vote, but they only vote for the president, not the city council.
That's right. So it was very vivid in these last 4 years, the importance of down ballot. Not only just voting for the president, but the governor and the county commissioners and the revenue commissioner and the people that verify the vote and the state representatives. Those people make local decisions that affect you directly, immediately. The presidential vote, it kind of trickles down.
And that school board, too.
Mm-hmm.
The school board, absolutely.
Definitely.
Absolutely. And then the other thing, I would encourage you guys, some of you to run.
Ooh, okay.
Interesting.
You hear that?
Run. Yeah, you run.
We should set up
So
a...
since you say that, how do we start? Where do we start?
Where?
You got the experts sitting right there with you. Monique Linder.
I know where you start.
Monique Linder.
I got some info on that.
She has resources all over the city that I'm sure people will, and they have something, just ask for it. They have something, workshops in the Democratic Party. They have a recruiting session for people to run. And then, and go join the party. Join all of them. Join the Republicans, the Democrats, the Independents, everything.
Yeah, that's exactly.
Republican, I like to say I'm conservative right now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I don't know what that means.
I would like to encourage people.
I ain't picking either.
Encourage people to run, because if you're pushing a message, I actually want you to do your research first to see what you're with and what you're against. Don't just run because the majority says this guy is who's good. I would like people to do their research to see what you're voting for and who you're voting for.
Well, everybody's running for office they have meetings. They have town hall meetings, so you should attend them.
And they're free.
And you should ask the questions. Yes, they're free.
Yeah.
And you should ask the questions. And then you should mobilize and move other people to come to the meeting with you, so you're not the only person hearing this. And then you're not the only person that have the concerns, because I'm sure most of your friends have the same concerns and issues that you do.
And know that if
powers on the people.
If they're telling you everything you want to hear, there's a good chance that they're lying to you.
That's right.
One politician is not going to be able to change the world. It's the consistency.
Everybody that runs for office says we're for jobs.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to bring jobs. To tell you the truth, there are not that many jobs.
No.
And the jobs that they have are very technical now, and they're getting to be more and more technical. So you need to do your research. You need to learn how to operate these machines. And so one of the things Ms. Linda is doing that's very important to our survival is this coding.
Can you break down the coding?
You got your teacher right there sitting next to you.
Come to John.
She knows more about it than me. There's more than me. So I'm giving Miss Linda a lot of assignments that she has me. But I'm very serious about this. And if you think you can't do it, make sure your children learn it. Make sure your children can read. Get them books. Let them read. And if you can't read, let them read to you, and y'all read to each other. But that's how information. That's how you form your opinion, if you have the information. Belva used to say in and then formation. That's how you form things, with information. Got it?
Mm-hmm. Got it.
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely.
It's powerful. One thing I wanted to say regarding the coding is coding will replace everything that you're doing today. It's going to be the language of the communication and how we speak. It's going to be in HTML. Coding is the language of the internet.
So basically, when everything goes digital, we're going to have to learn them coding.
That's right.
Interesting.
That's right. It's something that I'm passionate about, and I'm fortunate that Miss Doris Crenshaw and her organization, Southern Youth Leadership Development Institute, promotes that. And wants to teach the young people in Alabama how to code.
70% of the boys. Do you hear me now? 70%
of the boys.
That's
And that's just the city or the whole? Is that the state?
In Montgomery.
Just Montgomery. Okay.
So if I was to take half, 35% of that 70%, I could teach those young people to code in 2 hours.
Interesting.
So,
well, we're gonna work on that. I'm glad you said that, Miss Linda, because I have to send a paper to the Walton Foundation, and I'm gonna try to address that. So, Miss Linda, will you call me back tomorrow? When you get time.
I sure will.
We got to get something set up.
Miss Linda gave me an assignment, but the one thing they said about Doris Crenshaw, you give her an assignment, she's going to give you two. So
that's
the way we roll.
That's exactly. So take notes.
Because
there's no half stepping. You see how she just double timed it there and created another assignment that she's already on to the next one. I promise you.
Yeah, with Miss Linda, okay?
Mm-hmm. We can just have,
coding and books, but we have to have it organized. And
right.
On the 26th, I think, we are meeting with the Walton Foundation, the superintendent of schools, the mayor of the city, and the stakeholders. So we will try to address that. Mm-hmm. I want you, if you would, Miss Linda, my chief of staff just walked in.
Okay.
And I want you to say to him what you said to them just now about the coding.
Okay. And what is his name?
Ashley Rosa.
Hi, how are you? This is Monique Linder.
Hi, how are you?
Great. Well, I'm sitting here with Ujamaa Men. Now, Ujamaa Place is the organization here that helps young men transition out of the criminal justice system, helps them with housing, education, wellness, mental health, just wraparound services. We've taught coding here. We've taught the men how to code, and what we were talking about a minute ago was that 70% very high rate of illiteracy in Montgomery is we can impact that because you bring that percentage up in terms of how do you catch up to standards from 70%? You do it by teaching these young people how to code. That's how you bring them forward fast, because coding is the language of really today. It's but definitely of the future. Young people need to know how to code at the same time they're learning how to type on the computer. They need to learn how to code.
So that 70% of illiteracy could potentially turn into a percentage of people that's...
Miss Linda, we're going to have to go.
Okay.
And thank you so much. And we'll get back together with Ashley on this issue, okay?
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Wow. I really appreciate Miss Doris taking her time out.
Oh, yeah, that was good stuff.
And then basically just telling us the importance of voting, how it can change our life and how powerful it is.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just her talking about how 70% of black boys in Montgomery can't read, mentally, man.
That's devastating,
We
honestly.
Get out there and help them, man. Get on that somehow. Think of something.
Yeah. And then with this coding, with there being 70% of it, illiteracy down there, we could change that into a percentage of them only knowing coding when a lot of people only know this. Yeah. We could change that.
Then we also need to check Minnesota, though. We need to see the black boys in Minnesota statistics. That's what we need to work on, grabbing that first.
Yeah, and it's crazy because, when you get to a certain age, when you don't know how to do something, it's hard to ask for help.
Right.
Right.
That's why it's on to you, John.
It's discouraging.
On to us to grab those
a lot
boys.
of people are discouraged.
Like if you're 25 and you don't know how to read, you're not going to want to be like, hey, can you teach me how to read? You know what I mean? I learned to drive a lot later than my peers, but I never wanted to ask anybody because I was behind. And when you tell somebody, the first thing they say is, what, you don't know how to drive? And it's like, no, that's why I'm asking you for help, But, I eventually figured it out and I'm pretty good at it. But I can only imagine if I didn't know how to read, how difficult that would be to ask for help.
But that's why you say you got to take courage. 'Cause, you know, like I said, I used to have a stuttering problem. You know what I'm saying? So I used to mess up on my words, but I used to be good at poetry. And a lot of people was like, man, just write. I'd be afraid because, you know, like I said, I used to stutter. You know what I'm saying? Then one time I just went up there. I don't know what it was, but I ain't stuttered out one time. You know what I'm saying? So it took a little bit of courage. You know what I'm saying? I just kept repeating it the paper, just keep going over and over something. It's memory muscle. But all I know is we use John, we created space for that. That's why we got to reach out to these young brothers. You know what I'm saying? And teach them well. Because like I said, I've been taught. Like I said, I had a stutter problem. I had a good tutor. You know what I'm saying? Miss Robinson. You know what I'm saying? I don't know her first name, but I remember Miss Robinson. She taught me how to speak correctly. Like I had a bad stuttering problem. And look at me now. Poetry is doing me well.
Yeah.
And you're hosting a show.
Exactly. Facts.
And Ms. Doris Crenshaw, she came from a time where they weren't allowed to vote, you know. So I really take heed in what she's saying because it wasn't an opportunity for her. And she sees the importance of it. And she shared that with us. So it's a real important and powerful message that she's pushing because she's a lived experience.
And I just want to say one thing to our brothers out there. Get acquainted with your sisters, man. Get acquainted with your community because number one thing you need to know, black women's got the number one resources.
Yeah, for sure.
Statistic facts, like actual factual facts.
Facts. And they're one of the strongest.
You know what I'm saying? So if you can't open up to, based on what I'm
strongest.
saying, you can't open up to your brother, find a sister.
There you go. Everybody needs somebody, and don't be scared to ask for help, no matter your age, because you can learn something from somebody older than you, younger than you, and the same age of you.
If you're a young African-American male near the Twin Cities between the ages of 18 and 30, and you need help with any resources, housing, financial literacy, employment, job readiness, education, housing,
Or even just a place to feel comfortable, feel safe.
pick up the phone and dial 651-528-8006, or you can reach out to our website, ujamaplace.org, and we're also on Facebook. We'll give you the address once we get you on the phone. We are here for you. We love you. We are Ujama Program.
Bingo.